Round 2 of the 2024 Euroformula Open Championship about to come to an end with race 3 from Hockenheim. It is the second of our 2 top 6 reverse grid races coming from this 4.574 kilometer circuit. So far the winning honours have been to Brad Benavides and Francesco Simonazzi, and today it is the debutant, the rookie Michael Shin, starting on reverse grid pole position. Chris Stevens and Ewan Dunlop in the commentary box for this final race of the weekend. And Ewan, we're going to get going again shortly.
We are. 2 races yesterday and 2 very different races yesterday. One all came down to the wire, and race 2 a little bit more gentlemanly. After the first couple of laps, they formed into their front 7, and that is the order that they finished. Not a lot of overtaking, so hopefully we get a highlight coming up of race number 1.
Yeah, this is what's happened so far this weekend. Brad Benavides starting on pole position in race number 1. Didn't get the best of launches, though. He was immediately jumped by Levente Revesh and Francesco Simonazzi off the line. Bergmeister fancied a run at it, but he wasn't able to make his way through. But Benavides made short work of the 2 cars in front of him, making this move around the outside of Levente Revesh to take the lead of the race, and then move on to take his 2nd victory of the season in the Euroformula Open Championship, and extending his lead at the head of the field. Race number 2, Simonazzi on reverse grid pole, and it was Jakob Bergmeister making his way past FIFO Barrichello. Michael Shin and Barrichello got pretty close at turn 8 on the opening few tours. Benavides made his way through the pack, first of all passing Bergmeister for 2nd place, and then setting about Francesco Simonazzi, but unable to do anything about the Italian at the head of the field, who took his 5th victory in the Euroformula Open Championship. That was a great day for Francesco Simonazzi. Here's what it's done to the championship standings. Benavides leads by 23 points to Simonazzi. Jakob Bergmeister 54 points back after the rookie driver from last year took back-to-back podiums in the 2 races so far. And what we have here is a slight quirk of the format as well. We have essentially a top 5 reverse grid race, as a result of Paolo Brajnik not starting in this encounter. The cars are on there. Cars are on their formation lap, and yes, it's essentially a top 5 reverse grid race. Here's how they like up. It's the debutant Michael Shin on pole position alongside yesterday's race winner Francesco Simonazzi. Jakob Bergmeister, he's had 2 podiums so far this weekend. He goes from 3rd, ahead of Levente Revesh in 4th. Then Brad Benavides, our pole sitter, starts in 5th, and FIFO Barrichello will start 6th. Because we don't have Paolo Brajnik, who did qualify in 6th, this reverse grid race taken from the results of qualifying, Barrichello didn't actually have a valid lap in, but Brajnik's not starting this race. So effectively, what we've done is just reverse the top 5. So Benavides going from 5th position, and up until yesterday, he had been absolutely unbeaten, fastest in the 2 free practice sessions on Friday, pole position on Saturday morning, race 1 victory, but it was that man, Francesco Simonazzi, who brought that run to an end with victory in race 2 yesterday afternoon. Slightly odd schedule here, where we have the 2 races on Saturday. Normally we'd have 2 races on Sunday. It'll be a nice early finish for the Euroformula drivers this weekend, but there is the man starting on pole position, Michael Shin, the 19-year-old South Korean, making his debut in the Euroformula Open Championship this weekend, and that is a big, tall order for him. There's Rubens Barrichello, FIFO's father, talking to Kai Degenhardt, FIFO's engineer. Engine notes rise. We have the green flag at the back, and all 5 lights on, and for the final time, we go racing in Hockenheim. Benavides making a very good start, has to jink out from behind Jakob Bergmeister's car. He's already up a spot, but it's Michael Shin who leads Simonazzi into the first corner. Levente Revesh there in 3rd position, just ahead of Brad Benavides. The South Korean leading into turn 10, and now side by side for 3rd position as Benavides tries to come around the outside of the Hungarian driver, but can't find his way through. But now it'll be the slipstreaming opportunity down the Parabolica for the first time. FIFO Barrichello there at the back of the field, trying to make his way past Jakob Bergmeister as well, side by side for the lead now, as well as Michael Shin comes under big pressure from Francesco Simonazzi, the Italian, to the outside at the hairpin. Can't make his way through, but Benavides does make his way through on Levente Revesh and into 3rd place.
Benavidez will be absolutely delighted. We saw yesterday when two packs split, we got 2 races of 3 effectively. He didn't want to get caught behind in the latter pack. He'll now face his sights on Francesco Simonazzi in 2nd place. But he comes back through Revesh, blimey. Returns the favour, takes back 3rd place. Start under investigation, Chris.
Yes, now I think that might be something they do in general, but normally doesn't pop up on the screen like that. So we'll keep an eye on that. Huge glare from the cars as they hit the sunlight into the stadium section. 18 laps or 30 minutes of racing, whichever comes first. Fifo Barrichello there now in 5th position ahead of Jakob Bergmeister. As Simonazzi follows Michael Shin at the end of the 1st lap. It is Michael Shin leading, not by much at all, only a 1/4 of a second to Simonazzi. Revesh in 3rd, 7/10 of a second back, and then Benavidez on his tail. Fifo Barrichello in 5th, and Jakob Bergmeister in 6th as they head down towards turn 2.
So it's incredibly tight. Shin, Simonazzi, Revesh, pretty much all 6 cars bunched up in the space of a few hundred metres. And Benavidez will be itching to get past Revesh. Maybe a slip of the concentration of the 2 motorpark teams. But Benavidez, the Floridian, looking again. Will Simonazzi move to the front here? Move to the outside of the hairpin. It's the long way round. Can he get there? No, he can't. He'll slip back in behind Shin. Maybe get him on the undercut. He'll look to the right-hand side. No, he won't. Still Revesh ahead of Benavidez as Barrichello and Bergmeister just start to slip back.
And we know that Francesco Simonazzi's got a new set of tyres for this one, side by side further back between Barrichello and Bergmeister through the high-speed right-hander at turn number 7, and Bergmeister takes 5th position back from the Brazilian. And the man from Solingen in his home race this weekend. Lots of gravel. I thought I saw that on the last lap, but there is a string of gravel on the short straight towards the Mobile 1 curve. Now, that was a little lock up there for Michael Shin, who confirmed he will be taking part in multiple races in the Euroformula Open Championship alongside his main programme in the Euro Cup 3 Championship this year. So this won't be the last time we see Michael Shin out in one of these cars, and spoke to him yesterday, and he confirmed how much he absolutely adores driving this car, as does everyone in the field and anyone who has ever tested a Euroformula car, or indeed when this car was used in the Super Formula Lights Championship as well with the Toyota engine. It's a Spies engine in the Euroformula Open, but equally fantastic and just so popular amongst the drivers. It's the 19-year-old still leading the way, and once again hugging the inside on the Parabolica towards the run. Oh, Simonazzi switching one way then the other, but opts for the outside line in the end, and still trying to get the up and under there on Michael Shin.
Now, he is young, but he has got experience in British and UAE F4. He had a win at the brand's Indy track in 2022. Now, he's at a 4th and a 5th place this weekend. So him leading, this is the first time he'll have led a race this weekend, and he's looking really composed with the very accomplished Simonazzi looking for his 2nd win in a row, holding him off as things stand.
Yes, it was a 5th victory in Euroformula for Simonazzi. Incorrectly said 4 yesterday, which he rightly pointed out to me earlier on. A couple of his wins are inherited from 5-second penalties, including the race he won in Barcelona right at the end of last year. So it is 5 victories overall to this season. So a couple of cars having to get a real swapper on there, and Benavidez has dropped off the back of Levente Revesh there through that last sector. Revesh now looking, well, he's in more of a race of his own now, with about 7/10 of a second either side of him. So go back down the Parabolica once again. Simonazzi not looking quite as close to Shin this time around. You can spot Shin, he's got the white wingtips on his car rather than the red wingtips on Revesh's car in 3rd position, and the black on Bergmeister's. Again, defensive to the hairpin. And Michael Shin is placing his car absolutely perfectly to keep Simonazzi at bay.
And Benavidez has caught a little bit of that gap back up. Benavides is only finished first or second this season, and he's top qualifying. He's not used to being in fourth place right now, but he's got a real fight on his hands. Only 3 laps into this race, plenty of time to pick up the 10th of a second to get back to Revesh. And Simonazzi maybe getting a little bit frustrated shortly from Michael Shin. He's going to try every trick in the book, and at the moment, the only opportunity he's getting is at the hairpin on each lap.
First warning flags coming in for track limits. Won't be the last we hear about that in this race. It's been a hot topic all weekend in pretty much every championship that's racing here at Hockenheim this weekend. They straddle that curve on the outside between the final 2 corners.
I tell you what, Bergmeister's all over the back of Benavides now as well.
Yeah, pretty close, less than half a second. It's 2 seconds covering the top 5 in this race. Almost the whole field. There's the Hungarian, Levente Revesh. Kai giving the instructions to FIFO Barrichello there. Of course, won the championship with No Leon last year, did Kai. And now working with Barrichello in his first year of F3 level competition. We go side by side again. A switchback from Simonazzi. That's a very tight line, but the Italian has found his way through on the inside. But Michael Shin gets the up and under. Reaction from the garage as Benavides was going wide there as well. And Michael Shin has come back out on top. Side by side for third still. Benavides was wide on the exit at turn 6, almost a hip and shoulder there, going through the kink at turn 7. But Benavides has now found himself the inside line. All very close to contact there between the Floridian and the Hungarian, and Benavides has found his way through into 3rd place now.
It is all happening on lap number 4. It was coming. Simonazzi keeping the attempts coming down the hairpin, and he's gone. Barrichello spun. He'll keep it on the track just about, but a spin from the man at the back, and that is going to drop him back by a good dozen seconds or so potentially. But back up to the front, Simonazzi drops back into second. We didn't see the re-overtake from Michael Shin. Would love to get that on a replay if we can. Benavides going wide, but then getting the overtake on Revesh.
Lap number 6. It is still Michael Shin leading in his first weekend in the Euroformula Open Championship, coming across from the Formula Regional Oceania during the winter period. He was a race winner there, and combining this with his Euro Cup 3 campaign, you see how much that's sort of spread things out a little bit. Suddenly, Levente Revesh, since being passed by Benavides, suddenly lost a bit of his composure because he's fallen back by 0.8 of a second, and he's got Bergmeister for very close company. Here comes Simonazzi again to the inside. Oh, that's going to be very, very tight. There was almost a tag there. It almost looked like there was a tag between front and rear of their cars. And here we're going to see again what happened with Simonazzi. So super tight, acute angle down into the hairpin. It's no wonder that he ran a little bit wide. Surprised he kept it on the track, to be honest, but Michael Shin with the run.
Replay of the celebration in the garage too.
And then, yeah, this is Benavides getting past Revesh for 3rd position. We see Revesh straddling that curb ever so slightly on the exit of turn number 8 as Benavides went through. And then I imagine that's the reaction to FIFO's spin from Father Rubens. He needs no introduction as a long-serving Ferrari Formula 1 driver, teammate to Michael Schumacher, of course. Race winner, multiple Grand Prix winner. Of course, not only with Ferrari, with the Braun team as well back in 2009.
And Michael Shin is starting to just move away. No opportunities for the dive into the hairpin on this lap.
1 second his advantage now.
Wow. So Simonazzi falling back, and that will bring back in Benavides, who is just about clear of Revesh and Bergmeister. Here we go then. The long sweeping left hand upright parabolic will be far too far behind now. Simonazzi on this lap at least to get that dive in on the inside, which he tried on the last 2 attempts, which brings Benavides within a couple of tenths of a second.
Here's a replay of that spin. So it was already going, and then it dipped into the gravel as well, which rather sealed FIFO's fate there at turn 11.
He wasn't far off the back then either, was he?
But gets it pointing back in the right direction. Hasn't hit anything, so he'll be able to carry on his way, but he's now 12 seconds off the back of Jakob Bergmeister in 5th position. You see Michael Shin's really starting to stretch his legs out at the front of the field. The gap has come down ever so slightly in the middle sector. Benavidez going fastest of anyone else in the second sector on this lap so far. He's half a second now behind Francesco Simonazzi. Taking off another lap. That is lap number 7 that they've just completed. Simonazzi is closing back in. Fastest final sector and fastest lap of the race from Francesco Simonazzi, a 1:33.159. And once again, we are flirting with the track record here for the Euroformula Open, which was set during our last visit to Hockenheim back in 2019 by Yuki Tsunoda at 1:33.039. Just over a 10th to find in terms of tackling that lap record. Of course, that was before the introduction of the Dallara 320 chassis, and we were running on Michelins back then as well, rather than the Pirellis that we currently use. And yeah, all of a sudden, Simonazzi's right on the back of Michael Shin again. It's almost as if it was a couple of laps ago, and he started to gap Benavidez again. He's put 1.2 seconds now between himself and the championship leader.
Has just had a warning flag, Simonazzi, for track limits. You guessed it, at turn number 1 in that attempt to claw back the second attempt to 0.6. Looks even closer, the 0.4 of a second between the two of them now. Benavidez out to 1.6 off the leader, and he is now looking more behind him at Revesh and Bergmeister than he is to Simonazzi in front. So not all going the way of the reigning championship leader, Benavidez. And at this rate, he's going to lose his run of finishing on the top 2 steps of the podium as well. 0.4 between Shin and Simonazzi, 8 laps down.
Flicking it through the Nord curve once again, and 2-second time penalty for Jakob Bergmeister for track limits infringements. So the car currently in 5th position, but 15 seconds clear of Barrichello behind, so that won't impact him unless he makes progress on the cars ahead of him. It was a personal best for Michael Shin last time round, but it was still 0.2 slower than Simonazzi behind him. The gap now half a second as they head back down towards the hairpin once again. And now a lunge here from Simonazzi, locks up his brakes. There definitely was a little tag there on the front wing that time. Luckily, not enough to slice the rear Pirelli of Michael Shin. And I've got to say, Michael Shin has got incredible awareness here of where Simonazzi is placing his car, because I'm sure at some point in that hairpin, Simonazzi will be in his blind spot, and yet he is leaving enough room and doing enough to avoid contact here. He's racing very sensibly.
We are talking millimetres. He just saw an ever so slight wing wobble on the car of Simonazzi. Ever so close. Benavidez holding off for the time being. Revesh and Bergmeister, he'd be confident of doing so. More keen to get on the chase of Simonazzi. These two just look away. They're pulling each other along. Simonazzi well within striking distance. Once again over the line, and it is back to just over 0.4 and 2 seconds back now to Benavidez.
And we've got a real fight now on for 3rd position, because there's only just over a second separating Benavidez, Revesh and Bergmeister for the last spot on the podium. Benavidez, so far this season, hasn't finished outside the top 2. So make their way back down the Parabolica, still being pressured by Levente Revesh. That's been a bit punch and counter punch so far in this race.
This is really, every single lap is about this hairpin. That is the overtaking manoeuvre. Benavidez just manoeuvring to hold off Revesh, who's pulled up right behind him. Simonazzi was a little bit too far away to go for the dive down the inside that he's tried 3 or 4 times now. One was successful. It was overturned by Shin, and a couple have come incredibly close to causing a little bit of rubbing.
I'm sure Simonazzi will have flashbacks to Red Bull Ring last year, where he made a late dive on Bryce Aaron into one of the hairpins and ended up tagging the American. I'm sure he'll be keeping that in his mind. That day it was put down to a racing incident. Simonazzi ended up losing a potential win there as a result of it. He was dragging a damaged car back for the rest of the race. We've definitely got 3 cars in the fight now for third position. Benavidez leading his two teammates.
10 laps down, 8 to complete, 8 for Michael Shin. It seems a bit harsh to say hold on. He's holding himself so well. Benavidez on the defensive through the Nord curve.
Coming down the Parabolica once again, and Levente Revesh looking very racy now, coming down the blast towards the hairpin. Benavidez positioning his car to the right-hand side, so he'll have the line coming into the hairpin. Absolutely dead level by the time they hit the braking zone, and Revesh unable to do anything with that. Benavidez keeps it tight on the exit as well. Now, has Revesh been able to draw up alongside? No, not quite. Might have a lunge here into turn number 8. Revesh is one of the most aggressive racers in the field, and he does dive down the inside into turn number 8 and takes third position away from Brad Benavidez. Jakob Bergmeister there in the blue helmeted number 26 car, waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces on that one. But Revesh up into third.
Absolutely fantastic move. He'd been waiting a few laps to pull that one off, and already look at this, he's moved half a second ahead of Benavidez. Hasn't Benavidez potentially got an issue here? You wouldn't have expected this. He's been the form man this weekend, and now he's got Bergmeister all over his tail as well.
Well, we know at some point Benavidez would have to run an old set of tyres to the way that his crew have used them, and that Jakob and Francesco are on new tyres for this race on all 4 corners. Jakob Bergmeister didn't do the first run in qualifying. He saved that set so that he could have new tyres in each of the 3 races. Whereas Simonazzi took his pain in the first race so that he had 2 new sets for races 2 and 3. And obviously in race 2 used them to very good advantage. Also had a diff issue in race number 1 as well, which created a little bit more slip in his car than he was looking for. Looking on the inside, Jakob Bergmeister on Brad Benavidez. So suddenly our championship leader is down in 5th position. The man who has absolutely dominated proceedings so far this weekend. Even if he didn't win race number 2, he was still second with the positions gained points and the fastest lap, I believe, as well.
And both of them, Revesh and Bergmeister, starting to move away. Well, did not see this one coming.
Gap out front is starting to grow again. Michael Shin's put a second between himself and Francesco Simonazzi. Done the fastest lap of the race as well, at 1:33.081. We are just 0.04 of a second or so away from that lap record. It'd be nice to see that fall. So he's been standing for 5 years since our last visit to this circuit.
Great alumni, isn't it, of Euroformula drivers who have gone on to do some great things. And Yuki Tsunoda, probably one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known F1 driver to have been in this formula. And that is visibly up to 1.1 and doesn't seem to be coming back whatsoever. 12 laps down, just 6 to complete for Michael Shin to take his first win in the series. There's a glimpse of Barrichello running 30 seconds behind our leader after that unfortunate spin. He was quite competitive, in fact, up until that point, on the back of Bergmeister, who was running 5th at the time.
Ruben's obviously watching on, supporting his son. And it was a very hands-off relationship that FIFO describes his relationship with Rubens in terms of his racing career. And you get some racing parents are known for being a little intrusive, maybe, and trying to tell the team what to do. Oh, that was a swapper there for Simonazzi, wasn't it? But yes, I think once Rubens saw the work that Motor Park does, he knew he didn't really need to teach them anything. And of course, FIFO coming over from Formula 4 in Brazil, and in the Spanish Championship as well. He's been known to get his hands dirty and help out his mechanics with setting up the car.
Back under 1 second. Simonazzi taking 2/10 of Shin on that last lap, and it's getting better and better from 2.25 seconds to 0.2, 0.1, now to the good. Are we going to have a last 5 lap where they come together right at the end? We know pretty much in this series this weekend there's been one great overtaking opportunity, and that is either at the hairpin predominantly or as you enter the stadium section. Simonazzi still too far back on that attempt. In the background, Bergmeister now coming on to his teammate Ravesh. That'll be for a podium place. Bergmeister has had 2 third-place finishes so far this weekend. Like to make it a trio.
That would easily be his biggest points haul in the Euroformula Open for the young German. Just watching those cars go over the curb at the exit of the Mobile 1 corner. Amazing to watch. But Michael Shin is doing a superb job here out in front of the field, and didn't even get to test this car before coming to Hockenheim. His first lap.
Simonazzi had to move into the lead for a corner. Shin gets it straight back, pulls out a second lead, and this is the lowest it's been, 0.745, and back up to a second as I say that. Doing a fantastic job, Michael Shin.
It certainly is. He's made his car racing debut only a couple of years ago in UAE and British F4. Has even represented South Korea in the FIA Motorsport Games as well. It moved up to the F3 level last year, racing in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship and GB3. A couple of wildcard appearances in FIA Formula 3 as well. Race winner in Formula Regional Oceania most recently, and well, if in 3 and a bit laps time, he might well be calling himself a Euroformula race winner as well. This is the battle for 3rd place between Levente Ravesh and Jakob Bergmeister. There we see Benavides really lost touch. Now he's 5 seconds off the back of Bergmeister now. So, wow.
That can only be, like you've said, the tyres or some sort of car performance issue, because he's been so hot this weekend. So we may find out a little bit later. But right now, Bergmeister all over the back of Ravesh. This is not completed quite yet. We've got 3 laps to run. So you've got Simonazzi a little bit off the pace already, 1 second now off the back of Shin. The big one here to watch is Bergmeister on Ravesh. And look at those lap times. Bergmeister picking off 1/10 of a second on every single lap. Not many more opportunities for him. Brad Benavides 15 seconds off the pace of our leader Shin. So let's keep our eyes on this one. Ravesh second in qualifying on our opening day here yesterday morning, and second in race number 1, and 4th in race 2 yesterday late afternoon, evening.
But inherited the podium, I think.
Yes, he did, you're right.
Still following in the wheel tracks of Levente Ravesh, there is the young boy from Solingen, 18 years old and still only in his 2nd year of car racing, is Jakob Bergmeister. Came straight from F4 UAE to Euroformula at the start of last year. And, had 3 podiums in his rookie campaign. He's taken 2 so far this weekend, and indeed for the season. So a slightly troubled start to the campaign for him in Portimao, having to make a car switch on Friday, as there was a problem with his normal chassis, and then had to do the first 2 races without any real setup work done on the car. And you can see the performances starting to come together, and well, now in a slightly more trouble-free weekend, we are starting to see quite a bit of pace from this 4th generation superstar. His great-grandfather, a motorcycle racer, his grandfather, a touring car driver as well. His father, Tim, champion in GT Masters as well. Even his uncle, Jorg, Porsche Works driver and a Le Mans 24-hour class winner. Racing is in the Bergmeister blood. Penultimate lap of the race now, and still Ravesh is fending off Bergmeister. So Ravesh will be racing in his home city of Budapest later in the year. We go to Spa in 2 weeks' time, and then the Hungaroring in June.
Simonazzi 1.5 seconds behind that. That looks almost like the top two is done. Ravesh and Bergmeister is the fight. Of course, they are teammates in the team motor park. They want to race fairly, don't want to cause any damage as we head towards Spa in a fortnight's time. But all of these guys, young guys, are racing drivers. Points are up for grabs. And now, Benavides...
Oh, sorry, you had just a little lock up there for Jakob Bergmeister, and just ran it a bit wide, and I thought for a moment it might be running on just a little bit. Of course, don't forget, Jakob Bergmeister does have a 2-second time penalty for track limits infringements, but also Levente Ravesh is on his final warning as well. Here is a replay of that lockup. You heard the tyre squeal, and yeah, just thought for a second, once he got on that high line, he might Sebastian Vettel it.
Well, that'd be dramatic, wouldn't it? Michael Shin on his last warning for track limits. He's only got one lap to complete. He's got a 1.8 second lead.
Well, he's gone through the danger point of turn 1 already, hasn't he, really? So he should be golden. And unlikely to beat that time of Tsunoda. Again, like you said, a couple of hundredths of a second away from that. So close.
It did get incredibly close, didn't it? Simonazzi still on the back of Michael Shin, but not going to be close enough. Michael Shin, just a few more corners to get round to call himself a Euroformula winner.
Well, Michael Shin came here on Friday morning, having never driven the Euroformula car before. Got himself up to speed, showed great competency not only in qualifying but also in the 2 races we've had so far, and now from reverse grid pole he is on course for a maiden victory. Moving over from the Formula Regional Oceania Championship. We don't know how many races Michael Shin's going to be with us, but we know we're going to see him again. And we're very grateful for that, because Michael Shin now exits the final corner and is a Euroformula Open race winner. He rounds out his debut weekend in Euroformula Open in perfect style. Simonazzi second, Levente Ravesh in 3rd position. That's his 2nd podium of the weekend. Jakob Bergmeister just missing out there. Of course, the 2-second time penalty to be applied. And Brad Benavides, a very, very odd race for our championship leader. And FIFO Barrichello will get across the line in 6th position. But Michael Shin is a race winner in the Euroformula Open.
3 races, 3 completely different races. 3 stories and 3 winners too. Well, what a joy the Euroformula's been this weekend at Hockenheim. It's return to Hockenheim, and that's nice. The top 4 come together as they close things out, and they'll dive into the pit shortly. One time around the hairpin, which has been so pivotal, such a pivotal corner this weekend for the Euroformula. And will Simonazzi rue that one opportunity he had and got through, and Shin got back? There's the results for you.
Yeah, Michael Shin takes his first Euroformula race victory. Francesco Simonazzi on the podium once again for the 2nd time this weekend. Also 2nd time for Levente Ravesh as well. Jakob Bergmeister in 4th. Brad Benavides, championship leader, down in 5th position. FIFO Barrichello 6th after that spin. So Simonazzi's closed the gap to 15 points now to Benavides, and Levente Ravesh and Jakob Bergmeister now tied on points. But owing to Ravesh's 2nd place finish, is listed ahead of Bergmeister in the championship. Wave from Michael Shin there. And of course his parents here with him this weekend, and they'll be very happy to see that. And of course it all came to a head at the hairpin when Simonazzi made that very, very tight dive to the inside, and maybe another driver might have lost their composure, especially considering it's their first weekend in the championship. Of course, he doesn't know the racing styles of the other drivers here as well. He's sort of having to think on his feet a little bit, but very, very good wheel-to-wheel combat. in making sure he avoided contact with Simonazzi and also getting the up and under there when Simonazzi got up the inside into the hairpin. He's done extremely well in that regard.
Fingers crossed, we do see him several more times in this season. 8 rounds, next up Spa on the 25th, 26th of May. Simonazzi pulling alongside, as is Levente Revesh. Yeah. Big guns out, sun's out, guns out for Michael Shin.
Oh, that's got to be a pretty good feeling. He said yesterday how much he absolutely adores driving this Dallara 320, as does everyone who tests it, really. And Michael Shin, it's not only a first podium finish, it's a first win. And I'm sure he'll be embraced by the Motorpark team. The 19-year-old from Seoul in South Korea. There it is. Francesco Simonazzi. Now, he can be happy with that result. He had the pace to fight for the win, but wasn't quite able to make the move stick, unfortunately. So has to settle for second on this one. There's the new profile picture for Michael Shin.
Importantly for Simonazzi, and benefiting from Benavides' struggles, cut his lead at the top of the championship by, I think it's 9 points in that race alone. So more than one reason to smile on top of his second place podium finish.
So yeah, Levente there just finished up getting weighed. So yeah, heads over to the team. Quick debrief. Short version anyway. Levente Revesh, the different race engineer for this weekend. Normally has Matthias Gruner in his ear. We can hear from Michael now. Up first, the top 3. Levente Revesh, 3rd for Team Motorpark, the Hungarian, back on the podium. Francesco Simonazzi from BVM Racing, 2nd, the Italian, after his victory yesterday. And Michael Shin, victorious on his debut weekend in the Euroformula Open Championship, and he's downstairs with Alfredo.
So, and we are with the winner of race 3 here at the HOCKENHEIM ring, Michael Shin. First weekend in the Euroformula, and you are winning race, the last race of the weekend. How was it? Because it was a good fight.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a tough battle because in the opening laps, and even until halfway through the race, me and Francesco were going toe-to-toe in the hairpin. And only in the end, I was able to pull away and hold that gap to the finish line. And for me, you know, coming into this championship for the first time, not having driven the car, it was really about learning, and I'm really happy to walk away with a win.
Yeah, because you resisted very well the attacks of Francesco, who is a tough guy.
Yeah, he went for every gap, and I had to be very cautious not to let him get by.
Well done, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you so much. I hope to come back.
Well done. Podium now.
Let's take a look back at Michael Shin's first victory in the Euroformula Open Championship. He started on reverse grid pole. We saw Benavides making quite a good start. First of all, dispatching of Jakub Bergmeister, and then setting after Levente Revesh in the opening stages, as that Jakub Bergmeister and FIFO Barrichello went wheel-to-wheel in the early stages of the race. Michael Shin alluded to it. He had to defend a lot from Francesco Simonazzi. He tried many times to get up the inside. This was as close as he got, briefly holding the lead for a few meters, but Michael Shin immediately taking it straight back again. We saw this moment for FIFO Barrichello, a spin that put him off the back of the field, and I'm sure damage to his tyres not helping his pace there either towards the rest of the race. Side by side for 3rd position between Revesh and Brad Benavides. The Hungarian got squeezed out a little bit there, and that put Jakub Bergmeister on his tail, but Revesh came back at him later in the race. Big dive down the inside at turn number 8. And he started creating a gap as Bergmeister then set about Benavidez as well. The championship leader falling down the order. Bergmeister picking his way through into 4th position at the hairpin. Shin created a gap to Simonazzi and took his first victory in the Euroformula Open Championship. A perfect end to his debut weekend in the championship. And now to the podium on the right-hand side there, Levente Revesh, his 2nd appearance on the podium this weekend. Also for Francesco Simonazzi on the left-hand side there, and Michael Shin for the first time takes the top step, the motorpark representative there as well, and of course FIFO Barrichello there, and it will be the South Korean national anthem. Michael's parents there, you can see filming the moment from the pit wall. I'm sure that's going to be a treasured memory. And yes, I thought it was Michael's dad who was standing up after we saw the replay of the Simonazzi dive and repass. I wasn't quite sure at the time. I met them very briefly yesterday, but Michael Shin collects the winner's trophy. And we do hope to see Michael back in the future as a promising young talent, that's for sure. Another rookie trophy there for FIFO. Will be the official podium photo. With, the top 3, FIFO and the motorpark representative there on the right-hand side as well. Championships closed up. Simonazzi there, 15 points behind Brad Benavidez now. And now they will spray the champagne, and Michael Shin has deserved every single drop of it. That's all from the Euroformula Open Championship in Hockenheim. It was great to be back for the first time in 5 years. We're back in 2 weeks' time at Spa-Francorchamps.